Welcome back to K&L Farms. I'm Ken. I hope this video finds you well. Some of the stuff that I illustrate on this video will be linked down below in the description if you'd like to go take a look at it. And later on I'll have a cheat code that I'm going to utilize to make it cheaper for me, and I think easier also. Now remember, I'm kind of got a series going on. I'm trying to make or insulate, it's 12 feet this way, 16 feet that way, and insulate our wood shop. But it was poor timing on my part in that we're trying to make Christmas presents at the same time. So I did get the back wall insulated, and I got OSB on the back wall. So then we started to make our workbench a little bit, and just made a French cleat system. And this has been themed a lot on YouTube. So if you want to see how these are actually made, or a better example of that, you'll have to locate a different channel. But it's all it is, and this is pine, which I'll illustrate here in just a minute. I have a couple boards here. Just pine, and this is 2-inch. Just cut a 45 on it. Put the slats on the wall where you can still reach them, and then this is permanent. This goes on whatever feature you would like to have it on. You just screw it in the back of the feature. If you're going to make a shelf, you know, a drill index, a sander, any of your equipment that you want. And the other thing that's nice about having a French cleat on your wall is you can move all your products. Say you're working off the bench, which I'll explain the bench in just a minute. Move all your products that you're currently going to be utilizing, and when you're done with those products, you can move them back to that side. So like we'll have a drill press over here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bandsaw over there, like your sander. If you need your sander and your sandpaper brought over to your workstation, you can utilize all that. Now, that was one thing, the French cleats. Now in the French cleats, I'm kind of proud of that fact. And these boards, this is a piece of oak, but these boards, the reason I'm proud of them is that these boards were actually logs. I went and got the logs somewhere in the world. Now the pine come off my place. This came off a permitted firewood cutting area. Brought back some oak logs, cut it on the sawmill, which I've themed on my channel before. And then we just run them through the planer. We clean up the sides, run it through the planer, and then we can utilize it. But this is an oak piece. I'll set it out of the way, just an example. It's an oak piece. This is a piece of pine. I think they actually call this blue pine, but this is a pine, and this came off my property. These logs came off my property. We have quite a bit of this. I don't know how much you would say, but I mean more than enough that and this is not kill dried, this is air dried, but I don't think we'd ever be able to utilize it in our wood shop, the amount of pine that we actually have. This side's been planed. This side is, I would call it factory, but since I made it, it wasn't factory, but kind of proud of that fact. So that's another thing. Let's go to the bench. This bench will be themed down in the description, but we didn't think it was a cheaper product instead of buying a great big one. And the other thing I was going to bring to your attention is you can make it if you don't have, you got a lot of spare time, you got a wood shop like I do, you can make the whole bench. But we bought this, but we didn't feel it had enough work space behind it. It's only, I don't think it's quite 3 feet, let's say 2 feet. We needed more workspace, so we just took a piece of some 2x6s and framed this out, and then got some of this material here, MDF board, and that'll come in my cheat code here in just a little bit. MDF board, and we put, I think it's 16 inches behind it in MDF board, and we brought that table out to make it for a better work area. And we moved the lights. We bought another lights and moved the lights so we could see better, because we couldn't see in this area very well of the garage. Now, you'll see a knockout. Let me get this picked up. See a knockout right here. What everybody tells you to do is put on rollers, an application. So like in our case, the router. We're building a router table to go in there, put the router on top, roll the router out away from the work area, do your work, and then bring your product back. So everybody goes to, well, go buy casters and build you a cabinet like this. Now these are the 2 or 3 cheat codes. Buy a workbench like this, buy casters, which are terribly expensive, and then build your bench. and put your casters on the bottom. What we're going to do, and what we're starting to do, is we go and buy, this is an old one, basically a piano mover. It's got 4 casters on it, so you already have your structure started. And the other thing is, now we're not doing it, we're in the process of building the box, and you build your height, whatever height is comfortable for your router table, or if you have a table that's portable, take a drill press. Take the drill press over, take the bandsaw over, whatever you want. Roll it out in the main garage, which the main garage has a lot of footprint, a lot of space. You're not all cluttered up in this corner, because by the time we get all our tools back, this area, even though it's going to be approximately 144 square feet, plus or minus, you get crowded up. So you put it on there, roll it out of the way, leave the top empty, and you can put whatever application you want. In fact, this product I'm going to tell you about here shortly is part of that. And put the application down, leave a tabletop, so your tabletop comes completely across, so you don't have to utilize any of your space. Store it. When you're ready to put it on the top, roll out of the way. This is one of the cheat codes. The other cheat code I have is, we haven't got it yet, but go to Habitat for Humanity, buy you a vanity for virtually nothing. Take the sink off, put a hard top on the top of the vanity, screw the vanity to your rollaway. You have shelves in it already. Sometimes it's drawers, sometimes it's shelves. Store your drill press underneath, keep your top of your table clean, and it's virtually, I don't think you could buy the material. I know you can't buy the time that it's going to take to build, but go get a vanity. Okay, that was this number 1. The vanity's number 2 on the cheat code. Number 3. Now number 3, we were going to buy this MDF board, and it was $58 a sheet. We're in a box store, and we're prepared to pay the $58 a sheet. Now that's a 4x8 sheet, and we've done this piece, and part of that table over for our tops, because we're going to put Formica on the top. We're going to put Formica on the whole top area. But in any case, we go to the box store. It's $58 a sheet. We get there, and these sheets are extremely heavy, at least for us they are. Extremely heavy, so and the first 4 pieces of that unit that's there, it's got a fork mark in it. Somebody had taken a forklift and jammed that 4, then 4 of those pieces were broke on the corner. And we were fussing and stirring and thought, well, how are we going to get those 4 pieces off to get down to a sheet, because we're not going to pay full price. Person came up to us, and we said, well, can you help us move this, because we're not going to buy it. He said, well, I'll sell you those 4 sheets for 70% off. And we're like, well, maybe that's a good idea. So if you shop around in the box store and you find one of these damaged, now we can cut out, because we're only, see, that's the top of this router table, and you can cut out whatever you want and cut around that. I think it was only damaged area on 2 of them were like maybe 12 inches. I didn't figure out, at the time I did, but I didn't figure out what 70% off of $58 was, but they were definitely a savings. And we had a full truck, or we should have just loaded the whole truck up and brought it home. But anyway, that's cheat code number 3, is look around in the pile, and then get someone to assist you and say, hey, this is damaged, will you do damage on it? And usually they paint a little colored dot on it, and when you go to the counter to check out, they'll reduce it that amount to 70, 50% or whatever, and you can get pretty good product for that. So those are the 3 cheat codes I have on this. Now remember, I'm cheap, so I try and illustrate if I can save $1 now and then, and on that case I really saved a lot of money. I don't think we paid $16 a sheet or something compared to $58 a sheet. And then I'm going to try and add, I still need to add 3 more pieces of OSB on the roof, and I've got some 6 mil clear plastic that's 10 foot wide and 100 feet long, and I'll put, in order to keep the heat in this work area and not in the whole garage, because we're not to that point yet, I'll put a curtain up and then see if it'll contain enough heat. Now it's not actually real cold yet, but it's going to get cold.